Very good afternoon to all. Welcome to Tally CA Connect. Thank you for being here today. Our today's topic of discussion is based on intuitive support of TallyPrime with respect to GST compliance. Our expert for today is Mr. Ezhilarasan. Sir is a tax practitioner and a Tally evangelist. His calendar is never free due to his huge fan following in Tamil Nadu. I'm kidding. He is a passionate trainer, particularly in GST laws and procedures for businessmen, tax practitioners. He has addressed various tax practitioners and accountant associations on taxation matters and, of course, TallyPrime. For today's session, Sir has curated specific points which need addressing with respect to GST compliance in day-to-day businesses for everyone. So thank you, Sir, for taking the effort for curating such important points. I'm sure it will be useful for everyone. And thank you for your time. So over to you. And just a request from you, how would you prefer? Do you want the questions to come in the chat or should we keep it in Q&A only?
Let it be in the chat. We'll browse through as and when needed.
That way it can be interactive session. Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
Thank you. Oh, very good afternoon to all of you, all the people gathered here and sparing this 90 minutes with us for this notable things to understand in the TallyPrime regarding the GST. And my sincere thanks to Tally Solutions team, the Tally Evangelist team, the coordinating persons, the Komal, the other persons in the team. Anyway, this weekly session was going continuously. I think most of you might have already attended this thing earlier. The last week also, we touched upon the same topic of GST compliance through TallyPrime. So this could be the continuity of the session what we had last week. Last week, you might have studied about the basic configurations and other needed reports, what is there in TallyPrime as far as the GST compliance is concerned. Now, my objective here today is just to go through on a few challenges in GST compliance, that how we are going to come over with the help of TallyPrime. The agenda of the day, the topics of the day are this: the QRMP compliance, quarterly return monthly payment compliance through the TallyPrime, how it is consciously capturing the needed requirements at the first 2 months of the quarter as well as the third month of the quarter, that is at the end of the quarter. So this is we are going to see in detail. Then the second one, e-invoice covered taxpayers. I'm not going to talk about the generation of IRN, acknowledgement number and acknowledgement date and other details through e-invoice procedure, but I am going to touch upon the areas where what are all the reporting aspects after the IRN generated, all these things. So just to give you an opinion here, you all agree with me, once an IRN is generated, obviously your B2B tax invoices, B2B credit notes gets auto-populated in GSTR1. Meaning to this is, we need not once again go and upload it in GSTR1. Then what about the rest of the matters? Above the B2B transactions, there are other transactions like B2C, supply to unregistered persons, other tables like adjustment of advances, then HS and summary, SESC summaries and document summaries. These tables, exempted, nil rated table, these are the things which have to be keyed in manually. So how our TallyPrime, the latest avatar of our TallyPrime, is going to take care this e-invoice covered taxpayers requirements at GSTR1. Then the table 14 requirement, the sellers through e-commerce operator. Seller through e-commerce operator or I need to be I need to do an extra effort while filling up a GSTR1 with effect from January 2024, wherein we need to summarize the transaction through an e-commerce operator, and we have to report it in table 14A of GSTR1. How this information is going to be generated, is going to be compiled from TallyPrime, we are going to see. Then the peculiar feature, the peculiar information of treating the assessee of other territory. Here I'm going to touch upon the billing to says special economic zones, all these things, where to configure, how even if our entity is under SEZ, and what should be the billing and other treatments over there, and how the TallyPrime takes care of these things. Then understanding the track return GST return, track GST return activities in TallyPrime. We have a specific menu. After this latest TallyPrime enhancements, after this Tally 3.0, we had this track GST return activities. How best we can understand this and what needs to be noted before uploading their regular returns. After seeing this track GST return, we'll just have a look on it. Then the last but not the least, some intuitive configurations of TallyPrime for GST return compliance. So this is my overall objective of the day in the next 90 minutes of the program. Okay, as I said in the beginning of the program, you have the liberty to put on your questions in the chat wherever it's coming on your mind. Then we will, at best possible, within the limited time, we will get back to you with the required answers. Okay, let me just start with the first topic of the day, QRMP compliance through TallyPrime. Let me first put few words on the QRMP, quarterly return monthly payment. It's a peculiar arrangement for the micro enterprises, which you all might have known. Micro enterprises, which are identified as through our MSME law, like on the benchmark of turnover, 5 crore of turnover, and a plant and machinery investment or so. But the same thing. So the QRMP, as far as the GST compliance is concerned, applies to the micro enterprises, the 5 crores of aggregate annual supplies. I'm just equalating the QRMP scheme, which is matching for the micro enterprises level. So below 5 crores of aggregate annual supplies. Okay, what is exactly given, the benefit given under this QRMP scheme? Quarterly return, monthly payment. All have understood and even all have spread the message. Like here, the requirement of putting the return entries, like the sales entries, once in 3 months only. We all might have heard a few things from our suppliers also. Once we ask for any bill to be viewed upon, bill to be verified on our GST RTP, once we ask our supplier, he simply says, "Sir, I am in quarterly QRMP scheme, so that my bill will not will not be visible to you until I file my quarterly GSTR1." Like this, people may say, but the thing is not so. All professionals, you might have agree with me, because even though I am in a QRMP mode, quarterly return monthly payment mode, there is an interim reporting facility, optional facility available in this QRMP scheme also, the facility called Invoice Furnishing Facility, IFF, like our GSTR1, with some limited tables, reporting the B2B transactions so that the customer, the recipient, the registered recipient gets the input credit on time. So the compliance, though it starts with the QRMP, quarterly return monthly payment. So the reporting of B2B transactions, either it could be a tax invoice or a credit note, debit note relevant to the tax invoices, has to be reported in invoice furnishing facility. Invoice furnishing facility for the first 2 months, and the third month of the quarter means the standard quarterly period. I'm telling April to June, July to September, October to December, Jan to March. That's the exact quarterly arrangement I'm talking about now. Yes, the first 2 months of the quarter, April, May, has the requirement, has the facility to report B2B transaction IFF, in invoice furnishing facility, so that the supplier in QRMP cannot escape from his responsibility of reporting the B2B monthly. So it is to facilitate the recipient, registered recipient, to get the credit on time. So whenever year after, whenever you hear this type of a word from your supplier, you tell them, you ask them, sir, even though you are in QRMP, you have to report the IFF. So these are all the subject you might have already know. I'm just recapping this thing. So the first step towards the QRMP is IFF, invoice furnishing facility, in the first 2 months of the quarter. In the third month, there are other things like our regular GSTR 3B and GSTR 1. Okay. So what are all the things has to be done and what not to be done in the quarterly GSTR 1 and quarterly GSTR 2B? Because the few transactions, few in the sense the B2B transactions are already been reported in IFF of the first 2 months. Then the left out transactions like B2C and other transactions and other needed information of GSTR1 was reported in our quarterly GSTR1. So the compliance runs like this. Here is the question: how TallyPrime is taking care of this thing? TallyPrime is taking care of. Though the entire subject, what I am telling is in a theory mode, Tally takes care of all this facility. I am just getting into the TallyPrime right now to have this QRMP facility. I have just named the company as QRMP company. Here, the periodicity of GSTR1, I am making it as quarterly. By making this periodicity as a quarterly, then the Tally automatically takes care of all the reporting requirement of QRMP. That's the first point here. All the rest of the GST compliances, configurations, everyone might have already known. So I'm not touching upon all those things. So the first one is, so if I say my OND quarter, for the OND quarter, October, November, December quarter, if I select this October month alone, hope I am able to, yes, my screen is visible to everyone. Yes, here I am in a QRMP mode. How I get this QRMP mode in TallyPrime means when I go on mention the periodicity of GSTR1 as a quarterly, then Tally automatically considers my requirements at QRMP scheme. Now, in the OND quarter, I'm getting into the October month. Forget about all the other things. I am just straight away going to the export and GST returns. Okay, since it is already exported, no values are coming. Anyway, to come out of this basis of values, I can say include no actions also. Okay. Here, usually when we export a GSTR1, there are 19, even now 21 tables are there, including that e-commerce operator table. So we have as much as 21 tables are there. But in IFF, here I can able to see only the B2B transactions alone. B2B transactions alone. So let me show this difference. This is for the first month of the quarter. When I select the whole period, OND, October, November, December period, and when I go to the GST returns exporter, even then, since it has already been exported, yes, here you see these three things are also coming. This Tamil Nadu 18 denotes, the B2C transactions. B2C transactions. HSN summary is again reported only in quarterly, then document summary is coming. So like this, the tally is particularly considering the requirements of QRMP at the first 2 months level, at the third month level. Now we'll just understand what need to be done at the quarter level. Anyway, this has been taken care in TallyPrime. Relevant tables for quarterly GSTR. Now, for the sake of our understanding, what are the do's and don'ts at the quarter ending? So at the completion of every quarter, that is March, in a calendar year, March, June, September, and December are my quarter ending periods. No, here at the GSTR1, let's say first 2 months I have reported the B2B transactions. What else have been left out the quarter ending? The third month B2B transaction, third month credit note transactions alone. Okay. Then B2B tax invoices and credit note, which are left during IFF reporting. Say, for example, I have billed to a customer, but I have not reported in IFF. Why? Because if you have already reported in IFF, you should not carry the same thing in the quarterly GSTR1. All you would have already experienced it. It will show as a duplicate entry. It will not get uploaded. Right. The tax invoice which was already reported in IFF cannot be uploaded in quarterly GSTR1. Okay. All these things have been sensibly very validly considered by TallyPrime. That's what I am telling. By simply mentioning the period, Tally takes care of these formalities automatically. Reconcile the turnover. Anyway, this is our job. Books of accounts turnover, sales turnover, our books values with the GSTR1. Then the 3 months exempted nil rated table 8 requirement, no, in the GSTR1. And the B2C large table, again another table, 2.5 lakhs and above interstate B2C transaction and other supplies. These are all the things has to be reported only at the end of every quarter. All these you would have already known. I am just recapping these things. No, already been considered and validly taken down in TallyPrime, QRMP, GSTR1 preparation. All 3 months tax and advances, adjustment of advances for supply of services, all 3 months HSN summary. So quarterly GSTR1 should carry the last month B2B transaction, all 3 months exempted supplies, all 3 months B2C, all 3 months HSN summary, all 3 months document summary. Okay. Then don'ts. What should not be done? B2B tax invoices, credit notes of the first 2 months already reported in IFF should not again be repeated in the GSTR1. So this is also taken care by TallyPrime. Earlier, before this, yeah, previous versions like Tally 2.1 or earlier Tally ERP9, we had a facility of reporting section wise. I'll just showcase that also. Um, Now that is not at all required. So when we go, let me just go to the tally here. So earlier to this facility, because this tally latest tally prime releases are very much understood, very much taking care of all these requirements. Earlier, what we did is in our JSON reporting, one file format of reporting in the JSON reporting, JSON reporting, export separate file for section. This is not at all needed right now. Earlier we did so. Even the ERP9, Tally ERP9, Tally has enabled us to upload for QRMP scheme by giving the facility of export separate file for each section. By this, whatever needed section alone, we can convert the JSON and upload it in the portal. That is what there in earlier one. But right now, Tally sensibly considered the requirements. Even straight away, we can, after mentioning the periodicity, we can straight away come on GSTR1 and upload the file in one shot. The only requirement here is um, it has to be before reporting, before exporting once, we should carefully check up all these things. Once it is exported means, yeah, everyone might have already experienced this also. Once it is exported means the transactions will not appear in the other, the subsequent efforts of exporting, because once it is exported means exported. So the point here to notice, earlier prior to this Tally Prime 4.0, we had, even in Tally ERP9, we had the facility of exporting the separate files for each section. This is what the facility we have been using since the introduction of this QRP scheme. But right now, by simply selecting the period, that purpose is solved, because the already reported things have been automatically eliminated, and what are all the left out transactions alone be taken care, particularly in the quarterly GSTR1. The other informations like B2C, exempted, HSN, document summary are all automatically considered. So this is what I just want to put you upon on this particular area. So as far as the QRMP GSTR 3B is concerned, it is again an auto-populated one. These are all the general information. This you would have already noticed. This is nothing to do with our Tally Prime. Now we'll get into the e-invoice covered taxpayers reporting. My request is here is anything about the QRMP reporting from TallyPrime. If you have any query or clarification, put me on the chat. I will just come again. Then e-invoice covered taxpayers reporting at GSTR 1. Again, the e-invoice compliance here, as I already told you, once an IRN is generated, right now, since last August 2023, all the taxpayers having an aggregate supply over and above 5 crores are required to follow the e-invoice facility. Then once an e-invoice is generated, IRN is generated, that tax invoice is automatically posted at your GSTR 1. The question here is, the question for QRMP. Why it is not necessary for submitting third month B2B and credit note in IFF return? IFF won't be available, sir, in third month. Third month, if you log into the GST portal for the quarter ending, the portal itself shows a GSTR1. That will not show you IFF. Okay. The first 2 months alone will show a IFF, invoice furnishing facility. Again, another clarification, IFF and GSTR1 are the same, but IFF is the limited purpose. IFF is the limited purpose format. Limited purpose format for B2B transactions. So since we have already reported the first 2 months B2B, so we need not want to duplicate the same in the quarter ending GSTR1. That's the message here. Hope you got the answer. If anything further needed, get me. Then another question, QRP suppliers of filed IFF April 24. Will it reflect May 24 GSTR 2B? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The cutoff date, no. Actually, all you understood, all you have already known, the GSTR 2B is getting generated after 14th of every month. The IFF due date ends at 13th of every month. Though our GSTR 1 for regular taxpayer, monthly filers ends on 11th, this QRMP, IFF as well as GSTR1 due date ends only on 13th of every month. Therefore, our 2B got generated at 14th of every month. So on 14th, your 2B reflects the IFF filed timely before 13th. So therefore, your April month data, if it is uploaded in IFF before the due date, it will get populated. Then, if you file first 2 months of B2B invoices credit note in IFF return, the third month while filing GST, how to extract it? Okay, thank you. If you file first 2 months B2B invoices and credit note in IFF, in third month while filing GST, how to? Yes, sir. Don't worry, sir. That's what I have showed you. Go to Tally. If you have a TallyPrime 4.0 and above, it will automatically takes care of the what are the requirements. Like in the third month GSTR1, it will not consider the first 2 months B2B, and it will consider only the third month B2B credit notes and the rest of the matters only. So don't worry, go to the TallyPrime. TallyPrime will take care of all those things. And what is the due date of IFF? IFF, as I told you, it is 13th of every month. 13th of every month. So GSTR1 is 11th, IFF is 13th. Okay, coming to our e-invoice covered taxpayers reporting. Right now, 5 crores and above people having aggregate annual turnover above 5 crores have to comply with this e-invoice requirements. E-invoice requirement is nothing but an arrangement wherein our tax invoices are communicated to the invoice registration portal, and an additional information of your IRN, acknowledgement number, acknowledgement date, and a QR code is received from the IRP, invoice registration portal. This is also been very well taken care by TallyPrime. All you would have already experienced this very same thing. That I have by activating the e-invoice applicable facility at F11 features, and by putting the sale invoices, the system, the application, TallyPrime application automatically prompts you to generate the e-invoice details by giving the mandatory informations like your bill to ship to places, then the right HSN code, the right GST number, all these things. These are all the mandatory information. If these things are correctly keyed in the transaction, then the TallyPrime itself automatically takes the data to the IRP and gets your e-invoice, IRN related information, QR code related information, and get it printed in your e-invoice at TallyPrime from TallyPrime itself. Okay. Then in GSTR 1, the compliance, the point here is the challenge. I am not talking about the challenge in generating the IRN. So that is a different story. Anyway, if you have a TallyPrime, there won't be any challenge at all to generate an IRN. Even then, Tally gives you additional facilities of updating the IRN in info, even if it is generated outside Tally. Then canceling an IRN. There are so many bulk IRN generation. So many facilities are there. Go and experience it. Okay, you would have already attended lots of session over generating the e-invoice. The point here is, what about the reporting by a taxpayer who has already generated IRN? Okay, so once an IRN is generated, that entry got populated in GSTR1. Probably once if I, for example, if I generate an IRN today, that gets populated in tomorrow itself. In certain cases, it got delayed by 1 or 2 days. In some system related issues, one particular day or something in a last year, one particular day, system error, all these things are exceptional scenarios. Beyond that, if an IRN is generated, by tomorrow, it got populated. It's available in your GSTR1 return. So the point here is, once you are complying the procedure of IRN, e-invoice facility, you need not once again upload the very same tax invoices in GSTR1 upload. So therefore, it has to be excluded in uploading GSTR1. Okay. Then what else to be reported in GSTR1? So can we sit simply, sir, my invoices are uploaded, so my GSTR1 problem is over. Can I sit like that? No, because GSTR1 is of 19 plus tables, I told you. So apart from B2B, it has B2C large transactions. Even your export invoices also got populated, because export invoices, zero rated supplies, has to be reported to IRN, IRP portal. Then IRN has to be generated. Okay. Beyond that, besides this B2B and export invoices, we have the B2C large reporting, B2C reporting, exempted nil rated supplies, then our HSN SAC reporting, then document summary and other things. Then how does TallyPrime takes care of these things? That's the question here. Export invoices not applicable because it is also covered under our IRN. The remaining part is the B2C exempted nil rated HSN and document summary alone. Okay. So people are asking some clarification in the chat. They are getting the clarifications messages itself, I believe. Whatever not answered, I will come back. Okay. Then here we will get into Tally. How this e-invoice compliant behavior is there in Tally. So I am shutting down a company of QRMP. I am just getting into another company. Here, this company is e-invoice compliant, e-invoice enabled company. So I'm just checking it in F11 feature. Yes, it is there. It is there. It is periodicity is monthly only. Then the e-invoice is applicable from 1422 because the company is enabled for e-invoice from 1422 because of his 20 crore and above compliance. Okay. Now come to my GSTR1 reporting. More GSTR1 reporting. So March GSTR1 reporting. Though I have 570 B2B transactions in my GSTR1, 570 B2B invoices, as well as registered credit notes, 9 I have. I should not repeat the same in GSTR1 reporting because all these would have already been populated in my GSTR1 by having the IRN number. Therefore, from here, when I go on export GST return, GST return, GST return. So GST return is again sensibly taking care of your already uploaded B2B transactions. So see here, there are no B2B transaction, only the B2C transaction for 5% category, B2C transaction for 12% category, and HSN summary and document summary alone captured here. Why this is coming here? Because this doesn't have the IRN. This doesn't have e-invoice. This invoice alone not sent for IRN. Just I have put for your understanding. Anyway, in the real books, we should not leave anything without e-invoice because e-invoice compliance is mandatory. Without that, we should be penalized. We will be penalized as per law. Even one invoice, if IRN is not there, the lawmakers will penalize us. Therefore, nobody will have this type of a scenario. But I am just showcasing you how Tally consider this. So while uploading the GST return from the TallyPrime, if the data is e-invoice enabled one, it sensibly avoids the e-invoice generated B2B transactions and credit notes. It only uploads. From here, if I export the JSON, that JSON, for the regular one, I need not want the separate JSON. I can have the consolidated JSON itself. Okay. From here, if I generate a JSON, it will generate only the B2C transaction, HSN summary, other needed tables only. It will not consider the IRN generated e-invoices. So Tally is sensibly designed in such a way that e-invoice compliant data, will only report to the GSTR1 only the needed table informations at the one click of a button. So here we need not want to delete any transactions. We need not want to exclude any transactions. Straight away, if you are generating an e-invoice from TallyPrime, it takes care of the needed one at GSTR, in the needed one at the GSTR1 reporting. Okay. Here, the another information to note here is, let's say, my requirement here is, sir, you are saying once you generate an IRN, Tally will not once again consider the B2B. But I just want to know what are all the B2B transactions. So I need to include those things also. So here is a facility, basis of values, a facility is there. So I don't think how many are actually gone through this facility. Um, these are all the facilities have to be carefully examined in the latest TallyPrime. Here it is asking the first question: include transactions where no action required, because there is a caption here, no action required, in the sense the data has already been uploaded. So if I need no action required means, uh, say for example, I have finalized the return, I have exported from this TallyPrime, then it will go to the no action required, because before exporting, till exporting, it will stay in not exported mode, ready to export and not exported mode, in a different color, on amber color, so, they will say different color. Okay. So once I export this, in the sense, when I export in the JSON format, all this data will come and sit in the no action required. If I have the query to view the transaction which are already exported, then I have to say the basis of value here, as yes. Okay, then coming to our subject, here I have excluded the IRN generated IRN. My first point I don't need here. The second point is relevant for me here. I have excluded e-invoice IRN information data. So if I say yes here, you see my export file will comprise of all IRN generated data also. All IRN. You see, all this B2B comes here. For all 588 transaction coming here. So this is to recheck like whether I have exported these things correctly or not. Okay. So when I put an export button, when I put an export button, it will get the all the information get exported. So understanding the basis of values here, by setting yes to the include e-invoices with IRN, means in, though the IRN information, IRN containing invoices are auto excluded. By setting yes here, it is getting populated again. Okay. He's saying, just to elaborate the point here, okay, you see, since the data is okay, before setting yes here, only the B2C transactions are coming. You see here, 570 and 579 is the B2B and credit note transaction. Only the 54 transactions of B2C is getting uploaded. Uh, So by setting the e-invoice uh, generated invoices, that 579 will also get included in the exporting format. Okay, that is what there. Okay, just a minute. Okay. Now I am saying basis of values include IRN. So when I say include IRN, so it takes the other already total count is 588, 579 plus the B2C transaction, 579 plus the B2C transaction. That is what I have told. Okay. So I hope the purpose, the facility of this GSTR1 for the IRN covered taxpayers been already taken care by TallyPrime. Hope everybody have understood on this thing. I am just switching over to the next topic of discussion. That is the new table 14 of GSTR1. Okay. So how many have already done the entries on this thing? Please say yes or no here in the chat so that I can understand how many have tried on this thing. Okay. So I hope I have by last 2 days I have been inquiring to many of the people around the Tally users level. They said, though this facility is yes, 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 one yes, T14, no, not yet. Okay, okay. So we'll see. I think this would be an eye opener for you. Please follow it carefully. Okay, thank you. So, thank you, thank you. Yes, the table 14 requirement is this. If you are a seller through an e-commerce operator, so we have our known e-commerce operators are Flipkart, Amazon, Snapdeals, and so many people are there. Okay. As per GST law under section 52, believe I'm not if I'm not wrong, that says about that talks about the tax collected at source, TCS. No. So when I am supplying any goods through an e-commerce operator, then that e-commerce operator will deduct from me at 2% of TCS and remit it in my GST number. That I will get it back by submitting the information in TDS TCS received return and get it back in my cash ledger. That is the formality we are following. What is there in the new requirement? I'll just explain here. Supplies through e-commerce operator. Here I'm not talking about the actually here I'm not talking about the um, requirement by the e-commerce operator. I'm not giving suggestion for my Flipkart company, Amazon company, or anything. I am just carrying for my supplier, a normal taxpayer who is supplying his goods or services through e-commerce operator. So I am a normal taxpayer. Okay. So seller through e-commerce operator. Subject to TCS. So anyway, e-commerce operator will deduct TCS. Okay. In GSTR1, table 14 has two bifurcations. One is table 14A, another one is table 14B. Two bifurcation is there. In this latest table 14 requirement got amended in our GSTR1 return since our January 2024. January 2024. So the advisory also came in the GST portal. Everything was there. So Tally, as a first company, has enabled the same thing in the latest Tally release also. Fine. Here, the 14A table. So there are two tables in GSTR1, 14 and 15 in GSTR1. 14 for the seller through e-commerce operator. 15 is for the e-commerce company to report this thing. So the 14 table has again two different bifurcation. One is 14A, another one is 14B. 14B is a peculiar transaction. 9.5, section 9.5 liability, there for this restaurant services, accommodation services, all these things, the taxability is different from 18.723, 18.722, and there was a different requirement, I'm not touching those things. So simple, normal taxpayer in the sense a person supplying some electronic items, selling some other consumer durables through e-commerce portal. No, I'm just talking about that type of a customer. So that man has to report the information as if it is a B2B or a B2C transaction. I hope everybody would agree on my point. If not, please put me the idea in the chat. I'll explain you. So though we have different categories of people dealing through e-commerce operator, I am just touching upon the person normal. I am just touching upon the normal taxpayer who is selling through e-commerce operator. Okay. So the scenario here would be, I will be reporting the transaction as if it is a B2B or a B2C transaction, like my other direct transactions to my customers. In my B2B transactions of table 4 of GSTR1 or B2C transaction in the table 10 or so. Okay. So like that, my normal reporting would go there. In addition to this, by introduction of this table 14, I, as a seller through e-commerce operator, I should report the same B2B or B2C transaction in table 14A also. 14A also, by mentioning the e-commerce operator identity. So it's a summary reporting. It's a summary reporting. E-commerce operator wise reporting I have to do. So here you can ask me. So whether it is duplication, whether any liability comes on reporting table 14. No, 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 no. It's an additional information that all your advisory, all your legal advisories will be clearing on this point. The point here is, seller through e-commerce operator, the normal goods and services selling through in this mode have to report as if it is a B2B transaction and B2C transaction, and then it has to be summarized e-commerce operator wise, it has to be summarized and reported once again in 14A also. That's what it is telling. E-commerce operator GST invoice summary for supplies already reported in table 4 to table 10. Table 4 to table 10, B2B or B2C. That is what it is referring actually. Okay. Then come to TallyPrime here. So how my TallyPrime does this perfectly? I'll just explain here. Okay. We'll take another company. For this purpose alone. Okay. Here I need to do few settings before proceeding with this type of a transaction. I have two e-commerce operators. One is in the name of Flipkart, another in e-commerce. I just put e-commerce. I created a ledger. E-commerce operated ledger has to be created first. E-commerce operated created first under sundry debtors. Here, the registration type of this particular e-commerce operator should be e-commerce operator. Here, if you are not able to find this option, go and click on the show more button. Then you will have this much of classification. This is only available in the TallyPrime 3.0 and above data. Fine. So therefore, the latest TallyPrime, we have the GST registration type in this many ways. Now I am selecting this e-commerce operator. Also, one thing I noted down here, Tally is very much sensible on this GST number also. All you already agree with me, once we put any GST number of a customer taxpayer, if it is wrong, if it is any one element is wrong, it will automatically throw you a message here. The party GST or provided is incomplete is wrong, right? So like this, this GST number for, yes, thank you. Like this number, it is not our usual GST number. Can anybody tell me what is different in this number? Tell me, can anybody have noticed this thing in this number, GST? Can anybody quickly tell me what is different in this GST number? Very good, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Shweta. So the 14th digit, if you notice there, 14th digit, we usually get Z. No, we usually get Z. But for the e-commerce operator, a separate GST number is given. For them, they need to file GSTR 8. No, all you should have already understood this. So instead of Z, C is coming. So this number is particularly for e-commerce operator. So why I am saying here is Tally also particular in this number. So today morning I tried normal GST number in this particular field. If I put a normal GST number here, it shows again and again error. So for that, I have searched and got a particular e-commerce operator GST number. Then only this field got accepted without any error. So this is how every small elements been sensibly considered, and it makes sure uh, Tally makes sure all the users goes with error-free reporting. So this is what one thing I just want to personally share with all of you. So once you create an e-commerce operator ledger, that GST number should also be particular with the e-commerce operator GST number. It should not be a normal GST number. Okay. Here I had one e-commerce operator ledger like that. Flipkart, I created another ledger. The same configuration, registration type as e-commerce operator. Okay. So the question, just a minute. Suppose we are selling to B2B through Eco, then how to configure in the party master? I will come back to you. Party master is the same, sir. There won't be any difference at all. Is it a registered person, regular GST number, If it is a B2C customer, then unregistered consumer configuration. Nothing need to be configured over there. Okay. So no additional things to be added. The only point here is just create a ledger for your e-commerce operator and mention the registration type as e-commerce operator and put the e-commerce operator GST number here. So Tally also validates that number particularly for the e-commerce operator. So my first job is over here. Okay. Then I have other parties like ABCDE has some numbers. ABC Limited has one number, regular party. This is what you asked. You asked me, no? My normal consumer, other number, EFG Limited has a regular party, has some GST number. There is nothing new in it. Okay, regular GST number. Okay. The only point here is e-commerce operator has to be configured with the separate ledger with the registration type as e-commerce operator, and the number has to be the e-commerce operator's peculiar number has to be TCS number has to be given. Okay. Buying through e-commerce operator, it won't be a point at all here because selling through e-commerce operator alone is the question of fact. Fine. I did the configuration. Only one thing, e-commerce operator a separate ledger I created. Then what needs to be done in my sale transaction? Okay. So first of all, I will record one B2B transaction. Okay. I am selling it to EFG Limited. EFG Limited. Okay, but I am not selling directly to EFG Limited. Note here carefully. Note here carefully. So if I am selling through Flipkart, just select the e-commerce operator Flipkart. You say the e-commerce operator name in the party account name. Once I select the e-commerce operator name in the party name, that's get auto-populated in my buyer as well as consignee. Here, I need buyer as well as consignee. If anybody doesn't get this screen, don't worry. Go to the F12 configuration from here. Then make yes to the first question. Provide separate buyer and consignee details. Give yes to this question. Then two parts will come. By default, it would be in a no mode. So therefore, only one it will come. So anybody maybe wondering, sir, I don't get this thing in my screen or this, or you may be confused. Don't worry. Go to the F12 from this screen and put separate buyer and consignee details. Then this two will come. Then I have put a e-commerce operator, but my billing would be to the customer, EFG Limited. EFG Limited, because EFG Limited has its own GST number. So the credit has to be passed on to him, not to the e-commerce operator. Okay. But in the consignee detail, I am shipping to e-commerce operator. Though I am billing directly to my customer, I am shipping it to the e-commerce operator. Therefore, there the consignee detail, e-commerce operator, and the GST number should be the e-commerce operator's GST number. So this is the configuration has to be done. Okay, the party name should be e-commerce operator, buyer name should be the exact buyer, and the consignee should be the e-commerce operator. So I am selling one product here. So I am selling one product here. Then CGST, as usual, normal billing, I did it. Okay. Come to my regular GSTR1 reporting. GSTR1 reporting. I put the transaction on December, no? So my December transaction is here. B2B transaction is here. Anyway, it is selling to sales to EFG Limited. So it is there. How do I get that 14A information, summary information? There is a facility called change view. In your GSTR1 reporting, change view is there. In this change view, this e-commerce summary is newly added in the latest TallyPrime. So the e-commerce summary, when I press that e-commerce summary, e-commerce operator wise summary, 2 invoices have been generated through this person. So when it's a summary information. When I press enter here, 2 transactions are there. One was already made, one is just now made. Okay. So 2 transactions been made. So with this information, 14A table in GSTR1 will ask you about the e-commerce operator GST number, and the summary value of transaction through him will be asked at the 14A table. So this information would be very much sufficient to post the relevant table information at GSTR1. So here already this transaction got reported in B2B as well as B2B. In addition to this, 14A would also be taken care. Change view and check it at e-commerce summary. E-commerce summary. If I change, I'm changing the time period from 1st April to March 24. Okay. Here, I have built through 2 e-commerce operator. One is e-commerce and another one is Flipkart company. So under these 2 persons, through one person I build for 2 customers, and through another operator, I build for 3 customers. All these summary are coming here. Okay, this summary information got uploaded through JSON. If not, if you want to manually fill it up, you can see this information and manually fill it up in 14A table. I hope this information is much useful for you. So I am once again um, taking your attention to this particular view at the GSTR1, change view, e-commerce summary, e-commerce summary. How to see party details sold under e-commerce party option. Here, you see, yes, enter it, you will have these parties. Enter is voucher wise is coming again, or here you can press F5, you can have voucher wise it is coming. Actually, voucher wise it is coming. So there are other configuration is also there. You can put the configuration. So yeah, by getting into the invoice, you can see the party names. Okay, so by this, the reporting of table 14 takes care by the TallyPrime, latest release of our TallyPrime. Then assessee of other territory. Again, my question is, how many, quickly tell me, how many have already tested this assessee of other territory? Please, yes or no, please, sir. Let me quickly get into the subject. This assessee of other territory, okay, no issue, no issue. There are a lot of no's are coming. Anyway, where and all this assessee of other territory is available? Let me just show you. In the F11 feature of enabling the GST information, here we have assessee of other territory. One thing is there. Sir, one question asked by Deepak so I think, sir, this restaurant Zomato, sir, these are all the transaction coming under section 9.5, no? And that part is not yet taken care. So I am just talking about the normal transaction through seller through e-commerce operator, because that is a different section. In table 14 itself, another part is there, 9 subsection 5. That is not considered right now. So right now the majority part alone considered, sir. Please note. Okay. Sir, please show once if sold to registered dealer B2B through MMTC e-commerce operator. Yes, sir. That's what I told you. I have already anyway, just for the sake of everybody's concern, I'm coming back to this thing. Since you asked, I'll just show you. B2B transaction through e-commerce operator has to be recorded like this. First, party name should be e-commerce operator. Select it. Then get into the buyer name. It is B2C. May I come to this standard? Yes. The party name should be e-commerce operator. The supplementary information, the supporting information, the party details should be, the buyer name should be the exact B2B transaction, the registered person detail. The consignee name should be e-commerce operator. This is the only configuration, sir. If we record this transaction like this, it will take care. Okay. We are selling to B2C through e-commerce. How to show in table 14? Yes, sir. That is what only applicable. No, I have told you, sir. B2C also coming in. And the other entry is B2C, sir. Select the e-commerce operator party name. In the buyer name, select the consumer. It is B2C, sir. It is B2C. So B2C also the summarized and reported GST invoice, e-commerce operator GST invoice. There is no bifurcation of B2B or B2C. So only in rest of the tables of GSTR1, B2B, B2C bifurcation is there. Okay. Then handling assessee of other territory, no, I have told already. So the GST features, we have assessee of other territory. Other than that, we have in creating the customer ledger, any customers ledger, in the set alter GST, the customer ledger, we have assessee of other territory. The purpose of this assessee of other territory are, when we sell a product to a person at a SEZ zone, when we sell a product to a person at a SEZ zone, yes, assessee of other territory, we have to configure here, assessee of other territory. Yes, here in F12 configuration, assessee of other territory is there. So the first thing at the F11 feature, and the second thing at the ledger level, assessee of other territory question will come. So by marking this as yes, the Tally considers the facility of putting on the person of local state GST number. When we bill anything to them, we can have the IGST like this, the vice versa. So for the simple terms I am telling, as far as the law, they supply to exclusive economic zones, even though that zone is within our own state, we bill it to them at IGST, no? So normally, with the same state GST number, the company's GST number as well as the customer's GST number is the same, Tally won't allow you to uh, take the IGST ledger, tax ledger in that particular sales transaction. But marking the assessee of other territory, Tally will allow you to take the IGST for the GST number which is in the same state. Okay, so this is applicable for the companies which are at the exclusive economic zones. Okay, how can we use this facility? You go and configure the same at the ledger level. Whatever the parties at economic zones, we have to set the assessee of other territory as yes, and we can configure the same assessee of other territory at that ledger level, and we can do the sales transaction by putting the IGST. Then exclusive economic zones, a special economic zone, I'm telling. Okay. If my company is at says if my company at special economic zone, so what would be the nature of the transaction? So other territory to other territory within the CES zone, it is CGST and SGST. So if it is from other territory to the state, the particular state, then IGST has to be levied like our import of transaction, import of goods or services. Then the from my company at the normal state location to the CES zone, I have to put an IGST. These are all the taxability. All this been taken care. So in our TallyPrime, while creating my company, if I say assessee of other territory, all my transaction will be in this way. So or right now we have regular SEZ option is also there. Registration type is also there. If I configure the regular SEZ zone, then the same thing. If I build to a same say SEZ zone, the taxability as per law is being considered. And if I build to a person at the domestic area, it will be an IGST like this. It's considered as per law. Then track GST return activities. Then track GST return activities. Okay. This is also one of the finest arrangement at our latest TallyPrime. So I just show you the part alone, in your GST report menu, track GST return activity is coming over here. Since I put a period April to December, it displays all the month over here. So I can change the period also here. The headings here, the headings showing here are this thing. One is correction needed. Correction needed means anything within tally, uncertain transaction, correction needed. If anything is there, then that will show as yes. Here, if it is no, yes, I am okay with the tally. Tally validates all my data. Okay, fine. Pending for export means after my corrections, my transaction would be posted on ready to export. Ready to export means from there I can straight away export as a JSON file or as a Excel file in whatever mode, CSV file in whatever mode that is there. Then the third one, exceptions in reconciliation. We have three types of reconciliations here. You see, GSTR 1 reconciliation, 2A reconciliation, 2B reconciliation, right? So from the portal, I can download my GSTR1 JSON also, 2A JSON also, 2B JSON also. So if I download those JSON and import within Tally, if any exceptions available only in books, available only in portal, any mismatches in transaction, if any kind of exception is there, that will be shown as exception is the yes mark will be there. If nothing is there, no would be there. No would be the sign here. Yes, here I am saying I am having yes mark here. You see, yes mark over here. Available only in books, unreconciled, no? Unreconciled transaction is the exceptions on reconciliation, unreconciled. So by seeing at this menu, the people at the manager level, the bosses at the superior level can check the overall position of the returns for the month or in the combination of many months over here. So by seeing this yeses or no, so simple word here is if all are no, then there won't be any problem at all. Everything going smoothly. That is the sign we can take it out. Take it out by seeing the report. Then finally, pending to be signed. The signing facility is also there right from our 3.0 version of TallyPrime. So this will again gives us many more facilities of saving the return as if it was uploaded. So marking it as signed. We have a facility in every return GSTR1 marking as signed. When I mark it as signed, then the informations altered after my signing would be cared and noted down separately. That would be a finest thing for me to track the changes after the signing up. Okay, the track GST returns knows the exact stage at which the particular return is. At what stage? Is there any change, any corrections to be made? Is there any exceptions to be reconciled? Or everything is completed, only the export is pending. All these things has to be known by getting into this track GST return activities. Configure the report based on your role in the business and prioritize your actions. So I can allocate some person for correcting the errors at the first level, and I can allocate some other person to see the exceptions on the reconciling all these things. Okay. So once it is marked as signed, I'm not saying it cannot be altered. Yes, it can be altered. It can be altered, but Tally tracks it separately, and it asks you to put a effective date of amending, and it will be reported in the amendment table separately. That is also a peculiar, unique facility been taken care in our latest TallyPrime. Yes, amendment in the next month. Okay. Then other intuitive configurations of TallyPrime. I'm just the major part of our today's objective has been covered till now. Now I'm just quickly browsing through. Anyway, there are so many, lots and lots of things. Ocean full of data facilities are there. But I am just touching upon some gist of information. Effective date setting. So this screen you would have experienced in many of the configurations alteration level. So why this has been considered is earlier, whenever we change, earlier means what I am pointing is earlier in our Tally ERP 9, whenever I change any master level configuration, any HSN related, anything in my GST rate related thing, any applicability or anything, if I change, that will get changed retrospectively, that retrospective change would affect my earlier reported or earlier historic data in my books of accounts. So to just safeguard from those unnecessary hurdles, Tally has introduced this effective date. So whenever this type of an effective date prompts in, be careful of putting from which date prospectively it has to be affected, or from which date, from which earlier date it has to be considered, all this thing, because it is giving so many facilities. Current date of a company, last date of last entry, today's computer date, or tomorrow computer date, or new effective date. You can in yourself customize your date and you can tell your date. So like this, the effective date is coming. Be careful on setting the effective date. So very much sensible uh, data entry has to be done. Then the GST registration details history. Why I'm touching upon this thing is all would have frequently getting the query of like, sir, one person was a unregistered person till this month. Suddenly he got a GST registration and giving his GST number, telling to my client, sir, make me the B2B transaction. Till now you gave me the, you just gave me the B2C transaction alone. From now on, put me the B2B transaction. What to do, sir? So earlier we can't do, we will create another ledger and put the GST number, how the ledger separately. But in that case, the transaction continuity won't be there. So to avoid all those things, here the GST registration details menu is there. I'll show you how can, let's say here is a customer, here is a customer, here is a customer, consumer. He is in consumer mode, right? He is my consumer. The more details, I have this statutory or registration detail. When I click show more, that comes. Registration details history is coming. In this registration history detail, from 1st April, this customer is in unregistered mode. From 1st January, he is giving his GST number, then I can do it. So by simply doing this thing, my historic data won't be affected. So by saying this, until December 23, all this customer transaction would be reported in B2C. From 1st Jan 24, all this person transaction would be reported in B2B transaction. Okay, so be very careful. Most of the people would be wanting of this particular facility. So wanting of this facility, make sure this is available at the ledger alteration screen. More details, show more details. We have the GST registration detail history. Go and carefully put the applicable date of your transaction, applicable date of your transaction. This is what I showed you. Then, effect of GST related changes. When I alter anything at ledger or inventory or anything, I'll get this pop-up. So be careful on putting Y, U, or N, because these are all some people saying some unwanted signs. Sir, these are all asking in this latest TallyPrime. No, no, no. These are all for your information. Be careful. If you are changing any master related information, HSN, classification or any rate classification, which are crucial in generating the GST return. If you are changing, this will ask, this information will come. Then it says, sir, if you want to update, because once I updated, the relevant vouchers would be updated. So at this stage, if I press Y, only that master information alone would be updated. Then while generating the GST return, I can update this master information will be taken care, and the rest of the transaction will be uh, altered accordingly. If I press U, it will have all the transaction under that master would be updated. So be careful and putting this option in the alert. Then handling the amendments, which we have already discussed. Sorry, many of you would have already experienced in the TallyPrime. Anyway, I am once again recapping this thing. After marking it as signed, as I already told you in the earlier point in the discussion, today's discussion also, after market as signed, the change is possible, but if you change anything in TallyPrime, it will go to the uncertain transaction. Then in the uncertain transaction, I have to set the effective date. Effective date would be the probably the future date. If it is in the future date in the it will go to the future amendment table. Amendments are taken care in the TallyPrime. Don't send Tally GSTR1 amendment. What not to do? Department does not allow amendment second time in GSTR1, but TallyPrime moves the invoices in the second time also to the uncertain transaction, but it can't be uploaded. Need to revert all the changes made or reset the effective date to previous one. That is the only thing, because the amendment is not allowed again and again in GSTR1. Only once it is allowed. New facilities at GST returns are amendment tables in GSTR1, vouchers pending actions in other periods, ready for export, not exported, modified in books after export. These are all the things available in GSTR1. Please see that. Move to other tax periods and additional pending actions. Table 4 contents for GSTR 3B, the updated table 4 contents, everything is available in the latest TallyPrime. Also, all the sections that require your action will be highlighted in amber color. So I told earlier already. Then we have to ensure that the voucher count of such transaction is 0 before export to JSON file, because uncertain transaction should be 0 before exporting anything. Only ready to export will be there. After export, that ready to export will move to no action required mode. Okay, this is what the um, other critical aspects in our not the critical aspect, useful facilities in GST returns. Okay, thank you for your patience. I hope I have covered the questions, almost all the questions here. Thank you
Yes,
for
sir,
the
I
team's
must say,
patience.
absolutely
Uh,
brilliant. This
mm,
session was so smooth with all the queries getting answered. Honestly, I felt like it was going on a live session rather than being online because
mm,
it was so instant.
mm. Thank you, sir.
And
Thank you.
for the people asking for the recording, I'll make sure that the recording will be available in a day or two in our YouTube channel under Tally CA Connect. And also, if you are already in part of our CA community groups on WhatsApp, we'll be sharing the link there as well. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
I will now end the session.